This session is all about action, how we take the incredible work happening in open data, space science, and STEM and turn it into tangible impact. We'll be hearing from a brilliant lineup of speakers who are doing just that. At its core, Space Apps is all about bringing people together to solve meaningful challenges. What started as a hackathon has grown into something much bigger, a movement of global problem solvers using space data and open science to drive innovation. The NASA Space Apps Collective builds on this momentum by offering year-round opportunities for learning, collaboration, and deeper engagement with NASA's open data. Through workshops and discussions with NASA Space Apps subject matter experts, participants gain the knowledge and skills to take their ideas beyond the hackathon, transforming them into solutions that make a difference locally and globally. Over the years, this initiative has built a powerful network of scientists, students, entrepreneurs, and innovators, each bringing their unique expertise and passion to tackle some of Earth's and space's most pressing challenges. And that's exactly what we're here to celebrate today. Throughout the summit, you'll hear from incredible speakers, dive into discussions, and connect with a global cohort of innovators shaping the future of space and science. So let's start by hearing from you. If you're part of the Collective Cohort, please introduce yourself in the chat. Let us know where you're joining from, what you're working on, or what excites you about this event. As folks continue to share in the chat, here's what you can expect from today's session. A mix of lightning talks, panel discussions, and interactive sessions designed to inspire and inform. You'll have the opportunity to engage with fellow innovators, NASA experts, and key players in open science, as well as a chance to explore how open data is being used to drive change across disciplines. We have an incredible lineup of speakers today. Dr. Simone Le Gendre, Manuel Olariu, Carly Ziniuk, and Advita, each bringing a unique perspective on STEM education, space commercialization, mathematical applications in astronomy, and AI-driven disaster prediction. Before we continue, I want to acknowledge the summit navigators who are here to help guide discussions and ensure you have a great experience. And a special shout out to Dr. Parker Miles, who will be supporting us with Q&A throughout the session. Before we dive into today's lightning talks, let's take a moment to get comfortable with the tools we'll be using today. If you were in the earlier sessions, congrats, you're already a pro. But let's take a moment to explore some key features on WebEx, the official platform of the summit. First, chat functionality. If you attended earlier sessions, take a moment to share a key takeaway or insight from those sessions in the chat. Wonderful. Next, emoji reactions. If a speaker says something that really resonates with you, use emojis to react. And last, Q&A chat for speakers. If you have a question for a speaker during their talk, please use the Q&A chat so we can track it and address it later. Now let's take a moment to get a snapshot of who's here today. We'll be using Mentimeter. The link is in the chat, or the QR code is on the screen, so we can see our collective responses in real time. We'll take a few seconds to allow everyone to scan the QR code or go into the link. Great. Now that we've got a few folks in our Mentimeter platform, we'd like to know, where are you joining us from today? Please use the pin on image feature to drop your location. Excellent. South America, North America, Europe. Amazing. We've got folks from across the globe joining us today. Next, what career level do you consider yourself to be? Senior level, intermediate, university, graduate student. We've got K through 12. We've got folks all across the board. Wonderful. Thanks for joining. And next, we'd like to know, what area would you like to see space and Earth data used to make a positive impact? Everything. Blockchain, fighting climate change, society, sustainability, water supply, agriculture. These are all wonderful responses. Thank you so much for sharing. Now, what projects using space and earth science in your community inspire you? Agricultural, climate focused, Artemis missions, everyday people learning to use NASA, coexisting with nature, satellite imagery, robotics programs. These are all such diverse and fantastic responses. Thank you so much, everyone, for allowing us to get some time to get to know you all. Space exploration, environmental reporting. Excellent. Well, thank you so much. We're really excited about this next segment, as it highlights 4 incredible speakers who are turning data into action. They each bring a unique perspective, from STEM education to space technology, AI-driven innovation, and math-driven astronomy. But what unites them is their commitment to making open science more accessible and impactful. Each speaker will have about 7 minutes, and then we'll bring them all back for a Q&A panel. So if something sparks your curiosity, drop it in the Q&A box. First up, we have Carly Ziniuk. Carly is a mathematics and statistics educator from Toronto who has been featured in Forbes for her work on the 2024 total solar eclipse. She's passionate about bringing astronomy into math education and has developed creative ways to help students understand the practical applications of space science. Without further ado, I'd like to invite Carly to the stage.
Hello, I am Carly Ziniuk, a classroom teacher of mathematics and statistics and a proud member of the NASA Space Apps 2024 Collective Cohort. I live, learn, work, and play on the traditional territory of many First Nations, including that of the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Chippewa, and the Wendat people. This beautiful and diverse community we call home is also known as Toronto, Canada. Last year, one of my students, Morgan, gushed, "Space proved there's a reason to do all this learning." You see, astronomy is having a moment with young people like Morgan. The total solar eclipse had hashtag beautiful moon trending with North American teens, while the breathtaking northern lights of the aurora borealis are all over TikTok. I've spent a lot of time thinking about the connections between space and mathematics and talking about it with curious folks like Morgan. Space exploration fuels learners' curiosity and their imagination in a way that many math teachers are desperate to reignite in their students. The Canadian Space Agency believes role models like astronauts inspire students to dream and consequently achieve their goals. The early legacy of astronomy actually begins with mathematics, and my goal as a member of the Collective Cohort was to renew this relationship more broadly for K to 12 students and teachers. As the collective sought to build a global space community, I was motivated to link mathematics with space exploration for students like Morgan, beyond those just in my own classroom. As an author who writes and presents widely for educators, I know that teachers of mathematics want to engage their inquisitive students more broadly, especially to make the connection between mathematics and space. Many teachers, however, feel overwhelmed by the astronomy and don't know even where to look for appropriate resources and especially for data. Dan Meyer from MIT's Teaching Systems Lab says, teachers will only do what works for them, and they won't do what doesn't work for them. Teachers will only do work they can imagine themselves doing, and only with support doing it. When meeting my fellow cohort members, I discovered how many of us had been inspired as young learners by space, and then they encouraged me to develop the resources that would be easily accessible to a broader range of space fans. The varied experiences within the collective helped me to create these relevant materials. With a goal to reach more educators, I used the collective activities to learn from varied science, academic, and space leaders about the importance of membership and mentorship in my local region. Working with Discover the Universe, a Canadian astronomy organization, I have been able to connect with teachers in Northern Ontario and the near North to further distribute Astro-Indigenous learning materials. Launch Canada's Moonshot events built capacity with the next generation of changemakers in Canada's space and rocketry sector. Showcasing the CSA resources, my Desmos and Amplify activities highlighted Canadian examples on mobile platforms, all available free for both teachers and students. During the 2023 NASA Space Apps Hackathon, I discussed the importance of representation with university students, adapting Harvard's implicit association test as a citizen science project, created with NASA and CSA open data and images. I was able to support the 2024 hackathon as a mentor and as a judge here in Toronto, but also as a navigator for the online event internationally. On a more personal level, I integrated the work of the Center for Jewish History and the YIVO Institute for Jewish Research, preparing a Jews in Space presentation for my community. Using the NASA CSA resources, we explored ancient writings on space travel, historical science developments, pop culture and science fiction, astronauts' experiences of holidays in space, and then we discussed the overview and ultraview effect with the newest JWST images. I have presented several sample math space projects for middle and high school students and teachers, including uniting historical curve stitching with coronal loops, investigating the ways different cultures organize themselves astronomically and mathematically with their everyday calendars. Over 1,000 teachers in the past 2 years explained what would be useful to them and what would reach their students. Both NASA and CSA provide an abundance of problem-solving activities, data, lessons, and teacher education materials with lots of math-specific resources. These are available, and the resources are vast, free, and high quality, but they're not widely used. Admittedly, even for a space-keen math teacher, it's not easy to identify the appropriate level, find a specific topic, and they're not always in one location. It can be difficult to incorporate them into daily classroom learning. So I categorized and adapted these NASA, CSA, and additional space astronomy resources and data so that they can be readily used by K-12 teachers, students, parents, and even community groups. The NASA Space Apps Collective motivated me to curate, create, sort, and connect these resources by mathematical strands, by grade bands, and standards content. This allows teachers to start with an overall mathematical topic, then begin to look for the related math content for their student. I have presented this first across Canada, then internationally in Ghana, Brazil, Tanzania, and beyond. Many of these connections launching from cohort membership. I can now customize this for timely links. For example, filtering the Eclipse materials of sequencing activities to demonstrate use of proportionate scale with the Bennu asteroid sample. Teachers have already been able to find appropriate math connections. NASA CSA resources will inspire diverse learners to fuel their curiosity and will build our global space community. If you're interested in learning more about how to use these vast, free, accessible, high quality, curated education resources, please do not hesitate to explore them at the link you see here. Reach out. I'd love nothing more than to connect math and space for inspired learners like Morgan and for you.
Thank you so much, Carly. That was a fantastic take on how mathematics connects to space, science, and I really appreciate you sharing your insights. Thank you so much for joining us today. Next, we have Manuel Olariu. Manuel is at the forefront of open science and technology commercialization. He's the founder of Space Acceleration Industries, where he's bridging the gap between space research and practical applications. His work focuses on blockchain-based infrastructure for scientists, engineers, and entrepreneurs, really accelerating innovation in the global space economy. Now, without further ado, please let's welcome our next incredible speaker, Manuel, to the stage.
All right. Hello, hello. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. Give me a second. I'm going to share my screen. And here we go. Can you see my screen? Thumbs up?
You can.
Okay, perfect.
Looks great.
All right. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and thanks for having me. I'm going to kick it off. Imagine a world where researchers, institutions, and governments can instantly use real-time satellite imagery, climate models, and space-based sensors to solve problems, whether it's monitoring wildfires, optimizing supply chains, or advancing space exploration itself. I mean, right now, that world doesn't really exist, okay? But at Space Acceleration Industries, we are developing blockchain-based protocols that connect space data globally, creating a decentralized, transparent, and open space economy for all. Oh. All right. My name is Manuel Olariu. I'm the founder of Space Acceleration Industries. I was the global nominee in NASA's Space App Challenge for Open Science Marketplaces and a participant in NASA's working groups on open science incentive structures and sustainable open source infrastructure. I'm also part of the NASA Space Apps Collective Cohort 2024, a group working on open innovation and community engagement for space. Now, what if the space economy was as open and accessible as the internet itself? The internet has transformed how we share information, connect with each other, and do research across the globe. But the space economy is pretty much very fragmented, slow, and inaccessible to most. So I believe that space should work differently. And I envision a future where space assets, for example, satellite data and research and commercial services, are available instantly, globally, and transparently to accelerate the pace of innovation for the world. So right now, space data is very fragmented. If you need satellite imagery, for example, space weather reports or orbital tracking data, you must go through different agencies and companies and licensing processes. Satellite data exists and it's out there, but it's pretty much locked away in silos. So many data sets are behind paywalls or bureaucratic hurdles, and slow adoption and high costs result in missed opportunities to solve global challenges faster. We need a better way to do this. So a system that makes accessing and using space data simple, efficient, and open for different stakeholders and use cases, whenever it's needed. Now imagine a decentralized network that connects space agencies and researchers and companies, allowing them to distribute, discover, and use space data more effectively. By standardizing how space data is accessed, for example, exchanged and utilized, and providing infrastructure for open marketplaces where individuals can use and buy and sell or license space-based assets and data, we can ensure pretty much transparency, security, and automation through smart contracts and blockchain technology, and create the foundation for an open and thriving decentralized space economy. But what do? Our protocols enable easier access, so users don't have to navigate complex data providers. They will bring greater transparency so that transactions are secure and verifiable. And they use AI to help industries and researchers find the exact data they need with matching and segmentation algorithms in seconds. This means space agencies can share data, researchers can collaborate across borders, and builders can build space applications, tools, analytics, and train dedicated LLMs. Now, you might wonder, but how does it work in detail? And I would love to make a deep dive here, but with respect to my time left and the other speakers, I'll keep it pretty basic, okay? So right now we are focusing mainly on 4 functionalities. Discovery makes space data easy to find. Instead of searching across multiple platforms, users can locate the right data instantly. Persistence ensures long-term availability, so important data sets remain accessible for future use without the risk of data corruption, deletion, or loss. Processing uses AI to analyze and refine data, making it more useful, and usage allows the deployment of space data, powering industry applications. At the same time, we are offering different solutions to our ecosystem. We are building the foundational tech for space markets and provide a reliable framework for seamless transactions in collaboration with industry partners and agencies. And by aggregating these data sets from different agency sources, we are creating a unified and richer information pool. Also, we are looking to integrate legacy systems with modern solutions so that we can ensure composability across industries and to optimize access to space data by leveraging AI and blockchain. On the stakeholder side, you can see right now various groups. So on the provider side, we include different space agencies, satellite operators, and research institutions contributing valuable space-based data. On the user end, you see a range from like governance and industries to startups, researchers, and developers building novel applications on top. And on the supporter network, this pretty much connects all stakeholders through our infrastructure and ensures the utilization of space data. Last but not least, we are looking to create an incentive layer for our ecosystem under the benefits tab that you can see here. So the low-hanging fruit are, for example, incentives for data providers to ensure fair compensation for contributing space data. The aggregated assets for industries make it easier for companies to find and use space data for their dedicated applications. And our niche marketplace solutions provide very industry-specific solutions and use cases. And the scalable discovery mechanisms leverage AI-powered tools to streamline market access and analytics. So in short, we are creating a self-sustaining, market-driven space economy. But why now? The timing is perfect for this transformation. We saw the importance of open science, of open hardware, and open innovation for the space industry. Actually, the first decentralized space tech project worked on distributed governance systems and space sustainability citizen science projects as early as 2017. Today, space agencies like NASA, ESA, and the UAE Space Agency are already heavily investing in AI applications, distributed space infrastructure, and marketplace solutions. So governments of all sizes and critical industries are recognizing the need for better space infrastructure across the globe and on a hyper-local level for sovereign access to space and independent of world economies. The world is ready for the shift. The question is only, who will make it happen? And I must say now that the way we interact with space is about to change drastically, and it's happening now. It's not like future on the horizon, it's happening now. And as I brought it up before, you can see that space applications are limitless. So we can make research more accessible and collaborative. We can provide real-time data for various industries. We can prevent orbital collisions and ensure safer space traffic management solutions. Even with the opening of the lunar economy, we, as a species, are creating the foundation for future space travel, colonization, and resource utilization. We are building a future where space-based systems interact and communicate with each other seamlessly. And I can only invite all of you to this new age of space exploration. Wherever you are, whatever you do, your contributions are needed and crucial. Now it's the time to step up. It's about fundamentally changing how we use space itself to drive progress down here on Earth and scale the adoption of space assets and data globally. Many people talk about Space 3.0. With AGI on the horizon, we'll soon be able to build Space 4.0. And if you want to learn more, please feel free to reach out. Thank you very much, and see you soon. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Manuel. That was a great take on making space technology more accessible and commercially viable. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you sharing your insights. Now, let's hear from Advita. Advita is an undergraduate computer science student from India with a deep passion for data science and machine learning. She's developing a NASA-driven disaster prediction tool to enhance early warning system and improve disaster preparedness. She's passionate about using AI and data-driven insights to solve global challenges and drive meaningful change. Let's give a big virtual round of applause as we welcome Advita to the stage.
Yeah, hi, just give me a second, I'll share my screen. Yeah, is it visible? Okay.
Looks great.
So imagine this, it's September 2019. The Bahamas is bracing for Hurricane Tom. Winds reach 185 miles per hour. Communities evacuate, but for some, it's already too late. Entire neighborhoods are submerged and lives are lost. Now imagine a different reality, one where disaster prediction is precise, real-time, and accessible. A reality where people don't just react, but prepare. This is not science fiction. Hi everyone, I'm Advita Srivastav, and as a member of the NASA Space Apps Collective Cohort, I'm working on the creation of a tool leveraging NASA's data for predictive disaster management. Through this presentation, I would like to introduce PREVA, Predict and Evade. We live in an era of vast data, yet our ability to predict and prepare for disasters lags behind our technological potential. Why? Complex data remains scattered, making accurate predictions difficult. Prediction tools exist, but the gap between technology and community preparedness is vast. We need a real-time system that doesn't just react to disasters, but anticipates them. NASA is working on this, but accessibility and cultural inclusivity remain key challenges. The question isn't just why we should predict disasters, it's how can we do it better? And that's what PREVA aims to work towards. Now imagine a coastal town where fishermen receive localized flood warnings 72 hours in advance, not through their smartphones, but actually through community radio broadcasts in their local dialect. That's the power of inclusive disaster prediction. It's the possibility of a world where floods, wildfires, earthquakes don't catch us off guard, but instead trigger real-time alerts, allowing communities to act even before disaster strikes. And that's what PREVA does. It harnesses NASA satellite data from multiple sources, transforming raw information into life-saving insights. It provides real-time monitoring and alerts, ensuring communities, emergency responders, and decision makers can act swiftly. It's built with accessibility and cultural inclusivity in mind, making sure no one is left behind. And most importantly, it's designed for everyone, from government agencies to local communities, because disaster preparedness should be universal. The future of disaster management isn't just about technology, it's about making sure that the right people have the right information at the right time. This isn't just about prediction, it's about preparedness. Now, this is a typical disaster management cycle. PREVA aims to tackle the pre-disaster phase, thus effectively optimizing preparedness and mitigation. This in turn directly affects the post-disaster response and recovery, minimizing the degree of negative impact caused by any disaster incident. Now, I'll provide a brief overview of the technological framework PREVA is based on. So to start with, I am focusing on providing predictions for only floods, earthquakes, and wildfires. However, in due time, the future scope would hopefully include every natural disaster in its prediction domain, making PREVA a global utility tool. So the flood prediction module uses the interagency sea level rise scenario tool and global tide gauge data to track rising sea levels. The MODIS near real-time system processes Terra and Aqua satellite data, mitigating cloud cover interference with 2 to 3 day compositing, and the advanced floodwater differentiation algorithms improve prediction accuracy. Now for the wildfire and earthquake module, it uses the Landsat program integration, which provides 30-meter resolution imagery and infrared wavelength analysis for fire heat mapping. Harmonized Landsat Sentinel-2 project enables continuous vegetation health tracking to monitor fire risks. Now I would actually like to share a very interesting insight I came across by researching. Recent studies have shown a strong correlation between the land surface temperature of a particular zone and the seismic activity in that area. Thus, higher LST actually forms a direct correlation to a seismic zone. And this is just one example of the amazing ways different features of NASA datasets can be effectively combined together. Now here are some actual snapshots of how NASA satellite imagery data actually looks like. So this one is the NASA Visible Earth Catalog. This is the MODIS image gallery. And this one is the Landsat image gallery. Now to better understand the way PREVA actually works, let's look at the three-phase data processing pipeline it follows. The first stage forms the data collection layer, followed by the processing layer, and then the analysis engine. Multiple NASA feeds provide satellite data in real time. Machine learning models analyze risk patterns and detect anomalies. Predictive modeling and risk zone mapping provide decision makers with actionable insights. So this integration of data, AI, and predictive analysis is what makes PREVA a game changer. Now, how do we measure success when lives are on the line? It's not just about algorithms, right? It's about the impact. Are we forecasting real disasters? Let's focus on the prediction accuracy rates. Are we minimizing unnecessary panic? Let's minimize the false positives. Are we giving people enough time to prepare? Let's figure out an appropriate alert response time. Can we ensure the system is always online when it matters the most? Let's optimize the system uptime. And last, are we making sense of massive data sets at the speed of urgency? Let's find efficient data processing solutions. Now, to provide better and hopefully a more relatable perspective, I want to take up an extremely recent example. In 2023, wildfires ravaged parts of Canada. With better thermal anomaly detection and real-time fire spread prediction, we could have issued earlier alerts, saving homes, wildlife, and ecosystems. PREVA isn't just numbers and models, it's about equipping communities with life-saving information before disaster strikes. Let's look at some of the key features PREVA provides. The flood prediction system integrates sea level projections with high tide frequency analysis, enabling real-time flood detection even in regions without traditional monitoring infrastructures. For wildfires, thermal imaging analysis and vegetation health monitoring help identify hotspots before they become infernos. The earthquake monitoring correlates land surface temperature trends with seismic activity, a correlation I just mentioned, and this focuses on fault zone monitoring, detecting subtle thermal anomalies that often precede major seismic events. Now, this tool isn't just for scientists, it's designed for multiple stakeholders. So the first tier is space and research agencies all over the world. This includes primary data providers like the NASA Disaster Subdivision, as well as research and validation stakeholders, which includes NASA research scientists and climate research institutions. The next rung is government agencies, which can use risk zone mappings to optimize disaster response. This includes national disaster management agencies, weather forecasting departments, environmental prediction agencies, and urban development ministries. The next rung is emergency responders that get real-time insights to mobilize teams faster and smarter. This includes fire departments, emergency medical services, as well as search and rescue teams. And the last, but definitely not the least, is local communities who receive accessible alerts that prioritize inclusivity, so warnings reach everyone. This includes community centers, educational institutions, healthcare facilities, and residential associations. Thus, involving both high-level decision makers and local communities makes disaster preparedness a shared responsibility. Now, what if we could build cities that don't just withstand disasters, but prevent them? Disasters don't just destroy, they expose the weaknesses in our infrastructure, our planning, and our ability to respond. But what if we could design cities that are resilient by default? That's exactly where data-driven urban planning comes in. PREVA can provide risk zone mappings that identify vulnerable areas before disaster strikes. Infrastructure optimization ensures buildings, roads, and utilities are resilient by design. Resource allocation modeling makes sure emergency services are where they are needed the most. Disaster-resistant design helps us create cities that don't just react to disasters, but anticipate them. With the right tools and commitments, we can move from crisis response to proactive resilience. We stand at a turning point. We have the data, we have the technology. What we need is action. To governments, invest in predictive tools and integrate them into policy. To researchers, continue refining models for accuracy and efficiency. And to local communities, demand access to these technologies. Because in disaster management, every second counts. And the future isn't just about prediction, it's about preparedness. And let's make sure we're ready. Thank you all for joining in. I hope you gained some valuable insights to take forward. I would also like to thank the NASA Space Apps Collective Cohort and the entire team for providing such an incredible opportunity to collaborate and learn through exposure to so many diverse perspectives and brilliant individuals. Feel free to connect with me in case you would like to engage further or know more about what I'm doing.
Rita, that was phenomenal. I just want to echo the sentiments in the chat. This work is so necessary. Your work at the intersection of AI, data science, and space exploration is truly inspiring. Thank you for sharing how technology can drive real impact. Finally, we have Dr. Simone Le Gendre. Dr. Simone Le Gendre is a powerhouse in STEM education. She's the founder of EdHouse Inc., where she's democratizing access to STEM careers through hands-on learning, and her programs have impacted over 200,000 learners globally. She first connected with NASA as a pre-service teacher, and today she's pioneering new ways to make STEM accessible to underrepresented groups. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Simone, a champion for STEM education who is empowering the next generation of scientists and innovators to the stage.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Simone, and I'm happy to be here with you this evening. I'm the founder of EduHouse, and we're a social enterprise dedicated to democratizing access to STEM. And we do this through education, career awareness, and applied STEM projects. We are in the East Coast of Canada, in Halifax. So my journey began as a teacher, but over time, I learned that it was more impactful to have an impact on as many people as possible. So I expanded my reach into STEM education architecture. And that means designing STEM and innovation programs that have reached over 200,000 learners and educators worldwide. Working at the intersection of government, academia, and community, particularly in ocean governance and capacity building, I've seen firsthand how access to credible scientific data can transform how people understand and engage with the world around them. However, in many countries and communities, especially in the global south, STEM resources and opportunities remain out of reach for many people. My mission is to change that narrative and to ensure that every aspiring scientist, researcher, innovator, and everyone just like you has the tools that they need to thrive. Today, I'm excited to share with you how we can leverage open data, specifically NASA's Earth Science datasets, to empower early career ocean professionals, also known as ECOPs, especially in the Global South. Together, we'll look at what I plan to do to have a data literacy workshop to drive meaningful change in ocean conservation, climate resilience, and sustainable development. Let's dive in. Can you imagine a world where every young person has the tools to explore, learn, and innovate through STEM, regardless of where they're born or where they currently live? Did you know that by 2030, the global youth population is projected to reach nearly 1.3 billion? And what's more interesting is that over 60% of the world's youth will reside in the global south. In Africa alone, projections show that the population could double by 2050. What if we could unlock the potential of these bright minds by making STEM accessible and engaging? My journey as a teacher, enriched by experiences with NASA, taught me that credible open science can spark transformation even in the most underserved classroom anywhere in the world. When I was a teacher in South Carolina, I was exposed to making science fun and hands-on in my classroom, and I used NASA data to do this. I use data to teach elementary school children not only about earth science, but also for hands-on learning. We did everything from building rockets and robots to exploring objects in the night sky. That experience was a turning point for me. It demonstrated that curiosity could be ignited, even with a learner as young as 8 or 9 years old. However, once I started engaging with learners around the world, I soon realized that many of these opportunities were confined to very well-resourced settings, leaving a vast pool of untapped talent in the Global South where the need for STEM access is critical. As I later went on through my academic journey, in my research, I found that gaps in access to STEM education opportunities, teacher professional development, and data resources disproportionately affected groups and those who live in the Global South. So I've said Global South a few times, and you may be wondering, where is the Global South? What is it? Well, by the Global South, we're referring to countries that have historically been marginalized in terms of wealth, technology, and political power. What if we could equip early career professionals in this Global South with the skills to analyze real-time data on ocean health, climate trends, and environmental resilience? Well, as a member of the current NASA Space Apps Collective Cohort, and as the founder of EduHouse Inc., I'm working on addressing this problem by designing an open access data literacy workshop for early career professionals. Through hands-on sessions covering everything from data literacy basics, guest talks from NASA experts, and sessions with experts like my wonderful collective cohort members, we plan to empower these changemakers to drive sustainable community-led initiatives. This project is just the beginning of a broader vision to foster a globally connected, data-savvy network of ocean professionals. And we know that this is possible because through this year's collective, I learned that NASA satellite data has been instrumental in monitoring and combating illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing. By analyzing nighttime satellite imagery, researchers detected unauthorized fishing vessels who were not only operating illegally, but also operating in protected waters. So, thereby safeguarding marine ecosystems and supporting sustainable fishing practices through the use of satellite data. But why stop there? Once my data literacy pilot program is over, we plan to continue this work with educators and professionals from other sectors. And we're also working on a STEM education app to make these resources available. So why this workshop? What would it mean? What would it mean to folks in the Global South? Well, I had an opportunity to ask an early career professional named Thomas who lives in Ghana. I said, Thomas, have you ever heard of NASA Open Data? Have you ever used it? What would this mean to you and your community to be able to have access to this data and the tools to know how to use it? And he said, I've never been exposed to such a workshop before. It will be so transformative for me. It will help to bridge the knowledge gap and enable me to effectively translate data into practices for growth in my community. And that is an actual photo of Thomas. So in closing, I invite you to imagine a future where every community, regardless of geography, has the power of open science at its fingertips. Democratizing access to STEM education and data is not just an educational project, it's a catalyst for global change. By equipping the youth of the Global South with these tools, we're fostering a generation of innovators who will be ready to tackle Earth's most pressing challenges, and maybe space's most pressing challenges also. I invite you to join us in this mission at EduHouse as we strive to create a more equitable and sustainable future through the power of open data and education. If you would like to be a part of the workshop series or to learn more about our work, please reach out. And my final message to you is that you belong here. The future of open science needs you. Thank you.
Dr. Simone Le Gendre, thank you so much. Please welcome me in giving Dr. Simone a virtual round of applause. Thank you for your incredible insights on STEM education and leadership. Your work is truly making an impact and just so appreciated. Okay, wow. What a phenomenal set of lightning talks. Thank you again to Dr. Simone, Manuel Olariu, Carly Ziniuk, and Advita for sharing your insights and experiences. And the work you're doing truly highlights the power of open data, technology, and collaboration in advancing STEM, space science, and problem solving on a global scale. Now, I'd love to bring all four of you back on stage for a conversation. And we have time for audience questions. So if you haven't already, please feel free to drop yours in the Q&A box. While those come in, let's get started with a few questions to dive deeper into your work and the themes you've brought up today. First question is for Dr. Simone. Simone, you've dedicated your career to democratizing STEM education and creating pathways for underrepresented communities to see themselves in STEM. You spoke about how open data and hands-on engagement are key to making STEM more accessible. I'd love to learn more about what you see as the biggest opportunities and challenges in making open science a true equalizer in education.
Thank you, Cynthia. I think one of the key opportunities in front of us is AI. A lot of people have a lot of thoughts about AI and its use in STEM. We don't have a knowledge problem. There's a lot of knowledge created. We have an accessibility problem. The knowledge that we create isn't equitably shared across the world, and we can use AI to bridge those gaps. We also have a problem with the knowledge that we create being focused or concentrated in certain areas or around certain topics, or not taking indigenous or cultural relevancy into account. And so with artificial intelligence, it allows us to program algorithms in a way that can mitigate bias and share knowledge in a way that is more equitable and accessible.
Thank you so much. I love that idea of bridging gaps and accessibility because it's so important, and it's not just about education, but it's also about getting cutting edge research and technologies into the hands of scientists, entrepreneurs, and industry leaders. And that leads us to you, Manuel. Manuel, your work focuses on turning space research into scalable solutions using market-driven innovation and blockchain-based infrastructure. You're really helping to accelerate the commercialization of space technologies. Can you tell us a bit about the biggest barriers preventing space technology from being widely adopted across industries?
Sure. I mean, first of all, I must say that the space industry is pretty capital intensive. So everything ranging from like early stage R&D or late stage R&D to infrastructure investments, and even the supply chain requires massive upfront investments. So this is like one barrier for the space industry to unfold. Second thing is definitely related to the regulatory complexity. So it's not only linked to, for example, bureaucracy. I think this is like, yeah, pretty obvious, but we also have a lot of uncertainty when it comes to the IP rights and the technology transfer, as well as global restrictions when it comes to security. So these also hinder innovation. Then I can also bring up this whole topic around technological limitations, because even though we just landed a lunar lander and have Starship catches and whatever, the space industry overall is still really technology constrained. So it's still rocket science. So we have long development cycles, reliability concerns with the tech, and then also some propulsion challenges that slow the progress. But then also we have at the same time a market constrained industry. So this is related to, for example, other industries outside of the space industry not recognizing the value behind space data or space technologies, leading to hesitancy in the global adoption of the space data. Yeah, and that's pretty much how the slow progress emerged in the space industry, was like legacy systems, and then this whole topic around interoperability and data and different communication standards in space between satellites, and also streaming this data down here to Earth, to ground stations, storing this data and distributing this to other stakeholders is just a massive and complex system where, for example, players that are not familiar with the regulatory environment and the technological limitations that we have right now face various challenges in actually adopting and utilizing space-derived or space-based data.
Thank you so much for sharing those insights. Manuel, I love that point about bridging the technical and business side of space research. It's a perfect segue into our next panelist. Carly, your work connects astronomy, mathematics, and education, really making complex space concepts more accessible to students and educators alike. In your talk, you discuss how mathematics is often an underappreciated foundation of space exploration, from historical curve stitching to modern data visualization. You've really shown how math plays a crucial role in understanding celestial events and space data. So I'd love to learn more about why you think math is often overlooked when discussing space science and how we can potentially shift that narrative.
I think we've forgotten that the first peoples used astronomy to understand mathematics, and we use mathematics to understand astronomy, all the while collecting ourselves as a people to understand what was under our feet and above our heads. We were curious. We are curious. The kids I work with as young as 8 to 18, and then the folks that interact with them are curious, just like we were when we first looked up to try to figure out what was going on. And mathematics is underneath all of that. It helps us to understand and communicate in a way that language does not. But why is it overlooked? It's overlooked because it's hard. And we have to do hard things. But we have to do hard things that motivate us. And maybe I'm still that kid in space pajamas. I'm certain there's many people on this call that still imagine running around in space pajamas. And my students are those too. So I think we have to imagine that we use the mathematics to do hard things. Yep, all the things my fellow panelists today have talked about are hard things, but they involve mathematics at the core, because it's one of the ways we'll speak to each other no matter what language we talk to. And we know that the golden record had mathematics on it, right? So we could talk to whoever, whatever we found. And science is mathematics' friend and partner in this. And I think one of the things that I've done is taken that mathematics and given it to people in a way that might make it seem less intimidating.
I love the concept of making it less intimidating. Your insights about connecting theoretical math to real world applications really lead us to our next panelist, Advita. Your work takes open data and AI to the next level, really developing tools that leverage machine learning for disaster prediction and space exploration. I think you're working on some really truly cutting edge applications of AI and machine learning, from breast cancer detection to StarSnap for astronomical object detection. And now your work with NASA-driven disaster prediction tools, you're applying AI to some of the world's most pressing challenges. What inspired you to focus on AI-driven disaster prediction, and how do you see this technology evolving in the space sector?
Okay, so thanks, Cynthia, for the question. So actually, the whole interest stems from something you just mentioned. So my work in medical AI, right, particularly breast cancer detection, which you just mentioned, actually that taught me something very crucial, and that's the power of early detection. Cancer found early is often treatable, and similarly, disasters that are predicted early are often manageable. And this parallel was actually striking. And both these domains deal with pattern recognition in complex data sets where the stakes cannot get any higher, right? So NASA's satellite infrastructure offers a very unique global perspective, and this creates unprecedented opportunities for AI applications. In terms of evolution, I see three potential evolution paths for this technology. The first one is moving from a single disaster model to an integrated multi-hazard framework. And the next one is democratizing access to predictions through interfaces designed for diverse communities, regardless of their technical literacy. And the third one is shifting from reactive to preventative systems that inform urban planning and infrastructure design even before disasters occur.
Thank you so much. That was fantastic. I mean, this has been such an insightful conversation. Before we wrap, I'd actually like to hear a final thought from each of you. So for someone listening today who feels inspired but isn't sure where to start, what's one small action that they can take right now to begin exploring open data, space technology, or STEM education in a meaningful way? I'll give each of you 30 seconds reflection to answer. We'll start with you, Carly.
I am a huge fan of NASA Plus. I think there's a high component of the materials there that are diverse that can take any one of us into an area. I learned about sonifications, which I had no concept of, and learned that just down the road from where I live, literally within walking distance, was someone with sight challenge who was working in this area because of NASA Plus that then encouraged me to look further. So I'm going to start there because it's really low. The barrier to entry is low. You can have a 5-year-old watch it and a 95-year-old watch it. So that's my 1 minute, and it's super accessible, tiny little clips to watch for anybody, including a launch or learning.
Thank you so much for sharing. I'll kick it over to Dr. Simone Le Gendre.
Thank you. So I think I'm caught up in the AI wave right now. So my tip will be for anyone, if you have access to ChatGPT, Perplexity, any of the tools, just get on there, tell it what you're interested in, and ask it to give you a learning plan. It will give you step by step what you should look at. It may even give you resources and links to YouTube. And that's the exact kind of platform that I'm building at EduHouse. And I think anyone can leverage the power of AI to help them learn how to learn and be better at what they're interested in.
Thank you so much. I love the tip about creating a learning plan. I'll kick it over to Manuel.
All right. So yeah, my recommendation would be just go for it. I mean, get employed, build your own company, pretty much build the future you envision. It's definitely worth it. So I would also recommend to attend various hackathons, preferably for sure the Space Apps Challenge, or join the collective. So yeah, and then I'm definitely with the rest of the group here. Learn and execute on your vision, and then it will be all right.
Thanks for the collective plug, Manuel. I'll kick it over to Advita.
Okay, so in my opinion, this is something I would like to draw from actually the collective cohort's values too. So I think a reason that people would shy away from better understanding open source data is their understanding that it's purely technical, but something I have also learned from the cohort is to actually truly understand that the vast utility of any open source data is not just technical. And I would suggest anyone to also consider the psychological perspective And at its core, open source technology is about a very collective problem. It's about solving, it's about trust, and it's about understanding all this shared knowledge and collaborating better. So in my opinion, one thing that you can do right now is to engage with any open source initiative in any field that you are interested in. And this could be disaster relief, this could be mental health, this could be education. Anything, anywhere where collaboration and accessibility actually drives real impact, and you would yourself feel like you are part of contributing to open source.
Amazing. I am in complete awe. It is clear that each of you are really driving real impact in your own space. And I know that there's a lot of excitement and curiosity from our audience. So I'm actually going to hand it over to Parker, who will help us pull some questions from the Q&A box.
Cynthia, and congratulations to these speakers. What an awesome opportunity we've had to listen and learn. I want to share a couple of questions from our audience. The first one I'll put in the chat here as well for folks to read. What would you like to take back to your local community after your experience with the NASA Space App Collective? This is a question for anybody, whoever would like to start answering. Please, Carly.
I took a huge risk. I'm 53 years old. I had been teaching, doing lots of things, staying in my lane, and I took a risk. And I will tell you, it changed my life, literally changed my life. I got to talk to people at 2 o'clock in the morning, translating in French on my phone, to people who made me understand how really tiny this planet is. And it gave me a chance to ask complicated questions, to understand human beings with a thing that is completely different than anything I'd had. So I know I say this all the time to my students to take a risk, but this collective cohort is an opportunity to meet people from around the world and tell them what you're into and have them poke you in directions that you didn't know were there. So I wouldn't have believed it. Of course, you guys do great things and I should have. But I took a risk and I pushed myself in a way that I was surprised to do. And it has really changed what I'm doing in with my classroom with the kids that I see every day. But then that spread out in my community and then spread out beyond my community, which was amazing.
Wow. Thank you so much, Carly. There's other questions come in, but I wondered if anybody else wanted to tackle this one. Something you're bringing back to your community. Manuel, please.
Yeah, I simply want to add that, yeah, I highly resonate with your sentiment, Carly, of talking with friends at 2 a.m. in the morning. Greetings from Germany. And for my communities, yeah, it's pretty much taking away the fear to, for example, of talking with like space agencies, because for most people, a space agency is like such a huge thing. They think it's like so far away from their daily life or from the work that they are doing or whatever, that it's like that they don't even try. And I want to empower more people to give it a try, because sometimes it's worth it, right? So yeah, and then use open source data, as Advita brought it up, build something meaningful and solve real problems in this world. I think that's the path forward, and this is what I will tell, yeah, my communities.
Wow, I'm just so inspired, and want to thank all of you from joining from your locations around the world. I know here at East Coast, it's a lovely 8:06 p.m., but I know some of us are joining from the middle of the night or early morning. So we're grateful for all that you've given, not only to the summit for these couple of days, but through the year, really being committed to the Collective Cohort. Cynthia, with that, I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you so much. And what an incredible session. Wow, I want to take a moment to personally thank our amazing speakers, Carly, Manuel, Advita, Dr. Simone Le Gendre. Please, thank you so much for sharing their insights and experiences. Please join me in giving them a virtual round of applause. Thank you so, so much. Before we close, let's take a moment to reflect together. Please drop your responses in the chat. First question, let's start with some gratitude. Let's take a moment to share a thank you or a note of appreciation for our speakers today. Thank you, gracias. Thank you. We've learned so much. Thank you to all of the amazing speakers. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Now, what is one key takeaway that you want to bring back to your community from today's session? I see some awesome responses in the chat. Carly, you are so cool. Agree. Making them lose the fear of participating. I want to be much more active in my community. I feel inspired to help people learn to do hard things, to try out more AI, take risks. Wonderful. These are fantastic learnings. Thank you so, so much, everyone. This has been an incredible conversation, and the learning doesn't stop here. Up next, we have a break until 30 after the hour, followed by an incredible panel discussion. We have Making a Difference Through Collective Wisdom featuring Emily Silent-Glassman and Merle Ballard. Please make sure to take a break and come back ready for another powerful discussion. Thank you all so much for being part of this session. We'll see you in the next one.